What's up, everybody? Welcome to Mobleys. I am your man.
I'm his wife, Deirdra, but I sound like his little boy.
And we something like an ordinary couple.
With extraordinary purpose.
Ain't got no stuff.
Greetings, salutations, accolades, and blessings, y'all. Pray for your girl. I'm getting over a cold, and I'm hoarse from singing as well, so you have no sons. You're absolutely right. How are you, sir?
How are you?
I'm great. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. It's been exactly 1 week since I celebrated my birthday, and I'm still celebrating. Okay? Okay. Happy birthday to me. You say, what that mean?
I concur.
You agree? Okay. Thank you. What we talking about tonight? Choose your words wisely. Then you tell me not to speak negative words.
I told you not to say neither what you said.
I didn't say
Not yet.
I didn't say it, and you better not say it.
Said it yet. All right.
Aiken.
What happened?
Greetings, everybody. Hey, all y'all good folks. How y'all doing? We are well.
I want to talk about.
Happy Labor Day.
I want to talk about something that we were talking about in our strategic meeting the other day, and one of the things that crossed my mind to talk about is something called embracing individuality in your marriage without becoming isolated in your marriage.
Mm-hmm.
Tell me what your thoughts are when I say that statement.
I don't know.
What? Go out the studio.
And come back in?
Go out.
You want me to come back in?
I don't know.
You said embracing individuality. Say the rest of it.
Embracing individuality in your marriage without becoming isolated in your marriage. So
right.
most people try to hold on to their individuality because they feel like it's important. They talk about privacy. You know, you need your privacy for yourself. And, you know, your spouse should respect that and all that. And, you know, at some point in time, we felt like, well, I wouldn't say we. I probably felt like that. And I don't feel like that no more as far as the privacy thing. Me and Deirdra been together too long for the privacy thing to actually happen. So, yeah, anywhere where is vulnerability, we welcome each other into the space. So, yeah,
right.
If I'm on the toilet, she will open the door.
Well, sometimes you call me in there.
I do, and then you be trying to hold your breath.
Right.
And then I'll be trying to ask you questions, and then you shut the door and try to catch your breath and then come back. Whereas you don't even close the door.
Sometimes you don't.
I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't know.
You better back up.
I think, but sometimes most of the time, what I would say is, babe, you might want to shut that door.
To me, while I'm in there?
Yeah. Sometimes I do.
And
now,
I do.
If you're not in there, I'll shut the big door, but not the commode door. I just pull it shut. But every time you go in there, you leave the door open.
But sometimes you'll go in there and I'll be at the sink.
You being petty? Are you being petty?
I'm not. I'm being exact. You'll go in there and you'll say, I just want to share some of myself with you.
Yeah.
And then I close the door.
Yeah.
Or sometimes I'll leave it open.
But sometimes all the time what you say is, I didn't know that was going to happen. I didn't know I had to do number two. That's what you say.
So you uncovering me.
And I'm thinking, how you sit on the toilet and don't know that you got to do number two? I don't understand.
Because I started out with the intention.
I can get every now and then. It's every time. She's like 10 for 10. If I had to count, it's been more than 10 times. But if I had to count, it's 10 for 10.
Tell the people about preserving your individuality without
embracing,
isolating yourself,
embracing,
or something.
So, it's very important to build your individual self so that you can be healthy to build the marital part of your relationship with your spouse. And a lot of people try to build the married part, but they don't build their individuality. Now, individuality does not mean
that you're separate.
Separate. And that's where a lot of people find themselves being isolated. So for example, when I move, I let Deirdra know as far as if I'm planning on doing research, or I'm planning on making a career move or career upgrade or whatever the case is. She knows I give her insight. She can support, even if she don't know all the ins and outs. What I don't do is just do it and then come to her and say, hey, this is where I'm at now. Mm-hmm. And, she got to ask all the questions then. A lot of people, and some people feel like they have a legit reason to do it because they will make the moves, do what they got to do, shift 2, 3, 4 times, and then they'll come back and tell their spouse, yeah, I don't do that no more. I'm over here doing this. And this, wife or husband didn't even know that you shifted, mm-hmm. changed jobs, moved mm-hmm. up, whatever the case is.
Right.
So it's kind of tough to do. It's kind of tough to understand. Now, I ain't gonna say it's tough to do. It's tough to understand why it's important for you to share stuff like that. While you building and moving yourself in that direction, it's very important to share it with your spouse. If you don't share it with nobody else, it needs to be with your spouse.
Right.
So they can support you.
Right.
So, but what can happen is if I decide that I'm going, or my company decide that they're going to elevate me, shift me, transfer me, do all these things, and I don't share it with Deirdra, and then I come home, now I'm in a whole different tier of people, corporate, all this other stuff. And then now I come home trying to have conversation or letting her know that things changed and she never knew. So now I feel like it can easily make you feel, she can feel like that she's not a part of that. And that's the isolation part that you don't want to create. You don't want to create a place to where, because I know a lot of men do this. They will move, and when they grinding and when it's hot, and they just go ahead and move and do it, and I'll inform you later type thing. Mm-hmm. But a lot of times you can shift too many times to where your spouse feel like they're being left out. And that's the part, the isolation. You don't want to isolate your spouse in the relationship. And the healthy way to shift is to shift, but keep your spouse informed. Did that make sense?
Yes.
All right.
Absolutely. I think we move how we move, and before you would even accept a new position or a new opportunity, or when something is being said first to you, you bring it to me anyway.
Yeah.
And we talk about the pros of it or the cons of it. Ultimately, I follow your lead.
Yeah, but I let you know when the shift about to happen.
Yeah, absolutely. But I think it's the same way.
Yeah.
I'll bring something to you and I'll be like, babe, look, this has been presented. What are your thoughts about it? This is how I feel about it. I don't want no parts of it, or I think it'll be a good, jump or leap or whatever. And you give me your thoughts on it, and we come to a decision together. As with everything, because I think we've seen it before in a couple marriages where the the person may make like a major life decision and then tell their spouse about it after they've done it.
Yeah, and then the reason they say it is, I'm trying to move us up. I'm trying to get us to a place, and you just ain't trying to. You trying to hold me down. Matter of fact, I remember. I think I told you something similar to that at one time, didn't I?
You said I was trying to sabotage you. I think that was the word.
Did I say that's strong?
You said you trying to. You're trying. It's like you trying to sabotage me. Oh, okay.
You remember?
I do. Hey, we was in the apartment.
And what was the situation?
There was something that I asked you not to do. You were moving in some things, and there was a specific part of it that included a person, and I just all I did was ask you not to do that, or wait until I could accompany you to make said move or decision. And you did the exact opposite.
I moved on it.
And y'all was about to see Mr. Mobley with a knife in the side of his neck. Because you blatantly went against what I asked you not to do. And I feel like I had a reasonable request. That was a reasonable request of that the situation was what it was. Because I feel like on the flip side, I would have honored your request when it came to that about making that decision to make that, to make that choice about that thing. Make that decision.
You remember what the decision was?
I absolutely remember. I'm not about to say it on here because then it'll come to calling names and we don't do that.
Well, so let me ask you this. Was it with Family Life Builders?
No, this was something else.
Okay. So the one I remember, I don't know what you're talking about.
Oh, okay. I'll tell you what I'm talking about later. I know exactly what you're talking about with
the thing with Family Life
FLB.
Builders.
Yeah, I'll tell that. So
when we were shifting and the momentum, we started getting traction.
Right.
And this is the Family Life Builders part is the part of
was a nonprofit that we were forming. Yeah. So this was a major decision.
We was working in schools and we were networking,
doing mentorship and all that kind of stuff.
All that stuff. So some stuff started moving, traction was happening. A couple of things happened to where I was going to be able to get some platforms to be able to do some of the stuff that I had a vision to do. And it was you and your partner. Yeah. So I had to put together meetings. So he had meetings he was taking care of. I had meetings I was taking care of. And we had a couple of people that volunteered. And I had one person come with me. He had one person go with him. And I think what happened was they missed in.
No, they didn't. They didn't clarify to Sally.
So
Sally must have. Well, I didn't even know that Sally helped them.
Yeah, so I didn't clarify. But when we sent everything out. I had to send follow-up emails and everything. So I gave it like 5-6 different emails to send to 5 to 6 different people. And I said, if you can you do a follow-up with this? Make sure they understand clearly, kind of record what we did in the meeting, and then send it back out. So she did an excellent job doing that, but then she put her signature as my executive assistant.
Executive administrator.
And
administrative assistant. Now this was a nonprofit that we were forming, and decisions were made by me and Johnny and our partners. It was a husband and a wife, some friends of ours. We all made decisions when it came to administrative support, when it came to who was on the team and all that. That was, these are major things that were happening. And just imagine how me and the partner's wife felt when we see this correspondence come through with some lady that we don't even know, and she signed up under her name that she's the executive administrative assistant, which that was me. And y'all got the whole entire business. The whole business.
So at that time, in our life, I've had vision. And then I've had moments in the vision that stuff began to accelerate. So I've always tried to capitalize on that. Now, me wanting to capitalize on it then, and then my wife being prepared for the capitalization and the acceleration, we weren't always on the same page. So I think with this particular time, I saw the opportunity, I took it, I grabbed who I needed to. We got everything done. I wanted to look professional. I didn't tell the young lady to do that, the title, whatever. I didn't tell her no title, but I just asked her to do a follow up, whatever the case is. And
Well, I was never even asked to do a email.
well, you wasn't even at the meeting.
Yeah, it was at the school. I was working.
Yeah, but the meeting was actually at an offsite. It was at the little coffee shop in the mall where we used to have all our stuff at. So we actually had the meetings there.
And there again,
he was on one side, I was on the other side.
There
we was taking care of stuff. But that was all in the foundation of building it. Now, Miss Mobley and our other friend, they were not happy about
at all
that. They did voice their opinion, and I do believe I said, I don't know how my boy handled it, but I do believe I said I was feeling some kind of way, because I was like, I really felt it was a push that God opened a door for us to do some stuff, and but I was like, I guess I can't move on nothing. If you ain't ready, then God said, here it is, and then you ain't ready. Then I
no. In that situation,
that's how I felt at the time.
Right, because that request was never made to me. That's what I'm saying to you.
No.
So it wasn't like you asked me and I dragged my feet on it, and then you got somebody else to do it.
It happened quickly.
Yeah, quickly, and it was out of order how it was done. That's what it was, baby. Because if there was a gentleman that I asked to send something out because I was trying to move quickly and then get the opportunity to ask you about it, and he sent the correspondence and put his name on the bottom, and right up under his name, he put COO or president or co-founder, what was my lovely husband going to say to me?
Well, here's the thing.
Oh, okay.
What I should have did was clarify what the young lady's title was.
She didn't have one.
I believe that she was volunteering, so I believe that when we actually did it, she just kind of pulled that because
y'all didn't clarify.
Yeah, and she kind of
so it was y'all fault.
So in my mind, I was thinking that we could just clarify that in the title, but it went so much further than that everything stopped. So we wasn't able to capitalize on the moments that we had.
And that's what happened when you make decisions in a marriage, individual decisions, without, it's all right to be, have your individuality in a relationship. But when you're dealing things, especially with business, you have to think about how you are handling business. Because in that moment, I felt alienated.
Yeah.
I did. I really did.
Isolated.
Well, I'm sorry. Isolated.
I understand now. Then I didn't understand. I literally was thinking about this exact title. I literally was thinking about, I'm doing this for us, trying to move us forward.
And I think that was one of your rebuttals when we talked.
You just put a stop to everything. So the timelines and everything that I got to actually get this stuff to move has to stop now because I have to work on my marriage. Now, that could have went completely opposite. And that's how it usually happens. So it could have literally went, feel how you want to feel. I'm going to move us forward. And then once this thing grow, then you going to want to be all over it type thing. But in that moment, I had to choose what I needed to do. So I chose my marriage. So now y'all probably looking at me and thinking that, do you regret it? Could it have been bigger? And I don't regret the decision that I made because it made me and my wife stronger. Could it have been bigger? It probably could have, but if it would have been bigger without her, then it wouldn't have been worth it.
And it was never going to be bigger without me. Because I am you.
She's so ghetto.
I am not ghetto.
She is so ghetto.
How am I ghetto?
Just ghetto. That's all.
How am I ghetto?
Anyway,
Tell me.
moving on. So, like most of the time when we get y'all stuff, it probably is something that we done been through or whatever. And I just remember that. You got to tell me what the other thing was. I don't remember.
I am. I will.
So you want to read some of the article?
I do. It actually talks about that it's encouraged for couples to actually maintain their individuality and respect the individuality of their partner when being in a marriage.
It says it strengthens it, and I believe that because
and personal development. As well. Go ahead.
I believe it strengthens the relationship because you become more whole and it's healthy, and then your spouse allows you that room to grow. As an individual, never. But this is the thing: never leaving behind the marriage.
Right.
The ideal for this is to strengthen yourself as an individual to make your marriage better and stronger.
Absolutely.
It benefits that.
Let me share this. It says a relationship thrives when two strong individuals bring their distinctive and varied qualities to the partnership. And so that's not being jealous of or, critical of, one another in that aspect. It's about, like they said, you bring your different qualities and to the relationship to make a powerful union, to live out the purpose of your marriage. And, I appreciate the qualities, the strong qualities that my husband embodies. I think even earlier on, even though some things you were misguided in, and you had to mature in, you always had a strong sense of assurity when you did something, if that makes sense. Sometimes it may not have been, put spot on because you were still trying to figure out who you were, but you still found a way to show strength, even when you were maybe unsure about something, if that makes sense. It also goes on to talking about in this article. We're on psychalive.org is the site that we're using some of this information from.
And literally talks about this is psychology for daily use.
Right.
For everyday use.
Right. It actually says to be a even better person in life as well as in your partner in your relationship. It's critical that you do try to have a strong sense of your independence and a well-developed point of view. It says with this ongoing goal, you can continue to cultivate and strengthen your unique traits as well as behavior that reflects your interests and ideas. In your relationship, you need to be careful that you're not looking for someone to complete your incompleteness or to define or affirm you. Yeah. And that is absolutely amazing and it's truth.com because early on in our relationship, I think a lot of times I looked to you to affirm me. There were parts that I was incomplete, that was incomplete within me. And I think that was the time when I was had you way up here and not realizing that I needed to look to the Lord to complete me. And then we joined together. But again, we started out young.
Yeah.
And so we did what we knew how to do.
We did. We got on the job training.
Right. Literally. So it is important for you to have your opinions. And I have opinions. And sometimes they don't always... the majority, 99.9% of the time, because we are so much in sync, they do line up. But sometimes and it's my favorite thing to say to Johnny when he comes and we'll talk about something. I'll say, what I say, baby?
Mm-hmm.
What I say?
What you say? You love me?
Always. If you bring up something or if we're talking about something and you may have an opinion or an idea about it, and I
You
may have
say,
something else to add to it. What do I always say to you?
you say, baby, consider this.
Will you consider this? Yeah.
Yeah.
Because there are times when he may not have considered what I give him, and there are times when I may see something one way or have this idea about something, and you may chime in and say, well, baby, think about it like this. Try to expand your thinking and think about it like this. Because sometimes I am firm on what I believe and what I see it as. And he'll come in and he'll say, but babe, look at it. Maybe try looking at it, add this to it, or expand your view to maybe think about it from this aspect.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I welcome that. But that's the point of us having our individuality to bring to the table for what he may not have seen. Why you were working through whatever you were working through,
Yeah.
or dealing with whatever you were dealing with, and you'll call me because we're like sounding boards for one another. You'll call, I'll say, well, babe, listen to this. What do you think about this, or what do you think about that? And I welcome a different viewpoint.
Yeah.
A different opinion or a posture or aspect. Okay, go ahead.
All right. So the next thing, it says to be adult. So
Oh, say that again.
be adult.
One more time.
Be adult.
Be adult. Mature. Grow.
Yeah, it's common for people to complain of their partner being immature and refusing to grow up. So this is one of the things, like kind of what we were just talking about with one of the issues that came up back in the day. I didn't never feel like she was immature, refusing to grow up. I just felt like she didn't see what I saw. But at the time, she didn't care about what I saw. She just wanted me to hear what she saw. And then she saw something different. So it could have went completely and terribly wrong if I would have decided to just move forward without her blessing. So being adult is not just a question of emotionally mature behavior. Being truly adult also involves recognizing your early childhood trauma and losses.
That's good.
Taking steps to resolve them and understand how they help shape your current behavior.
Yep.
So
what is that in a nutshell?
So let me explain to you. Most people trauma holds them hostage in a place in their past. People who get help to understand, see what responsibility is theirs versus not theirs, and get healed, can literally grow out of their trauma, and that can be a characteristic that makes them stronger in another area of their life. If you never get help, you just always a victim.
Yeah, and 9 times out of 10, you don't mature because you are literally living from that 6 or 7-year-old boy that dealt with that trauma, and so that's where you still are. So physically you've matured, but mentally, emotionally, spiritually, you've gone nowhere.
Yep.
And so you're 27, but you acting like a 7-year-old child.
When it comes to certain things.
When it comes to certain things, because you're literally living in and out of your trauma in some areas.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I said it means actively identifying and challenging the defenses you formed as a child and correcting the negative attitudes or biases you acquired. So that's pretty self-explanatory.
Yeah, again.
So you create. So most people with their trauma, they build barriers, they compartmentalize it. But what happens is you find yourself acting different if somebody ever get close to that. If you see residue of that, you respond to it out of that place, thinking that you responded to it. You respond to the present stuff out of your past, but it's not the past to you, it's the present. So it's kind of like, and I think I said this before, it's kind of like having an animal that might have a broken bone. they're strong in all the other areas. But if you try to touch, do whatever to that broken, injured part of their body, they protect it. So you can touch all this other stuff, you just can't go over here. That's what kind of like trauma is. And then once somebody get closer to the trauma, then you respond out of immaturity, out of hurt, out of the past. And a lot of people don't recognize it because they feel like they're addressing something in the present, but don't realize everything that they're saying is coming out of their past in that area. Mm-hmm. All right.
It also goes on to share that to be free from, all the things of, because you have to be an adult and you do have to now open your mind, be unoffended, but be open to, letting somebody, whether that's your counselor, your therapist, whatever that looks like, being open and undefended, and literally let your guard down to now try to, deal with what has happened, deal with what went on during that time, with whatever you were dealing with that was unhealthy, that was traumatic, that has pretty much stomped you right there or blocked you in that area of your life from moving forward.
Yeah.
You have to now be willing to lay those barriers down so you can be, somebody can get it across to you that that's not a healthy way to live. This is whatever, your parent leaving or your parent, passing away or whatever that trauma was that happened at that point in time that's causing you to now block people out of your life because you may be afraid that if they get close to you, then they'll die. Yeah. Or they'll leave or whatever that looks like. And so you have to be honest about where you are, because the only way that you can get help with that particular thing is that you are honest. And honesty requires you to be vulnerable. It requires you to tell the truth, like legit say, yeah, this is where when this particular thing happened, and this is where it has kept me stuck. And I'm now 27 years old, and it happened when I was 17. This is what it is like, having to like lay it all down and say, yeah, it hurts. I may cry, may cuss about it, may whatever, but you have to lay it down and you have to be open to that exposure of yourself, of your heart, of your feelings, especially in a relationship when it comes to things that you may even want to guard your spouse from having to go through. But at the end of the day, if you don't, it's like you're trying to get close to them and they won't let you.
Yeah.
And until that's dealt with in a healthy way, then it's not going to happen. And so I may be the one now feeling isolated from you because I didn't realize that when such and such passed away or when this particular thing happened to you, you won't open that part of your life up to me, right? And so to keep that hidden, now I'm acting all kind of ways with you. You see what I'm saying? Yeah. Like on the surface
Why you
stuff.
tripping, man?
Yeah, it was only this or it was only that. Or you putting up a fight when in all actuality it's because you're trying to hide that part of you that's still hurting from way back when.
Yeah.
It gives some like a good synopsis of it. At the end of it, it says you damage the trust and the closeness between you and your spouse when you do that and refuse to even get help with it. It says love requires truth because without truth you can't build and maintain the trust that's essential for an intimate relationship. Yeah. And that's literally what it is, because sometimes it is hard to share that truth, especially if you, as Johnnie put in his book, The GPS of a Man's Journey.
Plug it.
Shameless plug. He shares about how in that of course because it's talking about men, how they compartmentalize things. They may deal with something or go through something, but because they don't know how to, maybe afraid to or whatever, they put it in that compartment up there and they close the door and put the lock on it and throw the key away, and they don't want to visit that ever again. And so they have all these compartments inside their mind or inside their heart, inside their body, And, you know, here comes the person that you finally meet that you do maybe fall in love with, but there are certain parts that you're not willing to give her.
Yeah.
Because you have, and sometimes, and you correct me if I'm wrong, it's literally like you have hidden it away that sometimes you, subconsciously forget that it's even there.
That's because you want to forget.
Yeah, absolutely.
Let me tell you, we literally saw this movie last night that this guy married this woman and they moved forward, and then he had an ex-fiance that I think she had some
dating early on in when he started dating, college.
He they was engaged to get married, and he actually left the day of the marriage.
Yeah, at the wedding, he didn't show up.
Yeah, he didn't show up. He called her and just told her he didn't think it was a good idea for them to get married. Mm-hmm. He thought she needed some help because he saw some psychiatric, some psychiatric stuff that was going on with her, whatever the case is. Well, it came to a point to where because she put him so far up on a pedestal that when he did that, she felt broken. So she pulled a gun on him and was gonna kill him and said, "If I can't have you, then nobody else."
Was on top of the roof.
And they wound up fighting for the gun or whatever. And somehow, I think it was a parking garage, but somehow she wound up falling. One of the stories on the parking garage. So he was having nightmares of it in his new life, and a girl went and got her a whole refacial.
She had to get reconstructive surgery.
So when she came back, she didn't look, but she tracked him down.
And she was pregnant.
Made up this
but
whole
he didn't know
thing.
It. She lost the baby.
Made up this whole thing about she was a doctor, she was a psychiatrist, all this other stuff. Tracked that joker down and wound up getting. So he didn't even recognize her. She befriended the wife first. Tried to get both of them to come to the counseling. I think he was a OBGYN.
He was.
Yeah, so she actually showed up there. But the whole thing was he never told his wife. Like, he was having, like, nightmares.
Some nightmares about it.
And he would wake up, and the wife kept saying, "Who is Tara?" And he would say stuff like, "Tara is the chick that, you know,
a crazy client or something like that or whatever."
Yeah,
right?
almost lost her life for having a baby. So he didn't know if it was, you know, it's trauma that come with the job. You know, he was saying stuff like that. Well, old girl turned their whole life upside down because But my whole reason of saying that is that was a past life that he did not share with his wife.
Yeah, and it came back.
And then it came back. And if the wife would have knew about it, she would have knew how to respond to it. But the whole fact that he just never said nothing.
Right, that he was engaged.
That was my past life. You don't need to know nothing about that. And, you know, a lot of marriages, husband and wives, that's what they do. They say stuff like, you know, that was my past. You don't really need to know nothing about that. And most of the time, that's okay. The part when it's not okay, when you know you done bury a booger down there, and you know it's going to grow up and turn into something different, and it's a possibility that it might show up.
You said he buried a booger?
A booger.
Oh. Okay.
A booger bear. Oh. And you know it's a possibility that it might show up. You share that. Because if you don't, then that means when it pops back up into your life, you knew about it, but your spouse didn't know about
it. Neglected, negated.
Yeah.
Whatever that word is right there to divulge that information to them. How do you support your partner's individuality?
Yeah. It said respect your partners by encouraging your partner unique interests and personal goals independent of your own. So one of the things me and Deirdra do, we know we are a lot alike because we've been together for so long, but we still have different ways how we do things. Some of the stuff that I do, my wife now does. Some of the stuff that my wife do, I now do. And it just kind of interchange. We don't see it as, you know, I do something better than her or she do something better, because we take our strength and we use it for our good. So, but if she has a way that works better, not even if it don't work better now, but it work better later, then I'll use it. and vice versa. We're on the same team, and that's where a lot of people get. That's where a lot of people kind of get tied up at, is when, you know, she's doing something, she's thriving, the iron is hot over here, she's hitting home run after home run, and you trying, and nothing ain't really hitting, and now you getting jealous of your spouse because they hitting home run after home. If my wife succeed, I succeed. If I succeed, my wife succeed.
Absolutely.
I've told y'all before, I broke the door down to writing a book. She came through, stood on my shoulder, wrote 3 of them. I mean, I'm not jealous. I'm not mad. I'm not upset. But here's what the part. If I never did my book, she probably would have never did hers. That's the whole thing. So we encourage each other.
Yeah.
We are each other's biggest cheerleaders, support. So you can't be jealous. We get. Sometimes I'm on and I'm hitting. And then sometimes I'm not. Sometimes she on, she hitting. Sometimes she not. So that's part, you can't be jealous of your spouse.
Yeah. But we, in all of that, we value each other's similarities as well as each other's differences.
Yeah.
And we respected both of them. We respected in one another, and we emotionally support one another.
Yeah.
We physically, all those things, emotionally, spiritually, we just support each other. Because the one thing that we always tell other couples and that we always remember ourselves is that we are on the same team. So when I win, we win. When he wins, we win.
Yeah.
Same thing. We on the same team. And so when you understand your partner in, you know, in every possible aspect, and that comes from relating. It's a relationship. It comes from relating. It comes from making wrong decisions and apologizing and extending grace and asking and forgiveness and forgiving and all those things that happen, and that strengthens us not only individually but as a unit.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
So the last part, we talked about the encouraging your partner's unique interests and personal goals independent of them. Be sensitive to your partner's wants, desires, and feelings, and place
As much value.
Yeah,
on
place
theirs
as much
as you do
value.
your own.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the support part. That's the not being jealous part.
Yeah.
This type of interest in and feelings for your partners is altruistic and goes beyond any selfish or self-serving concern you may have.
Yeah. And I explained that next one a minute ago when I said about having empathy and all that stuff with and compassion for your partner. And like Johnny says, when you show sincere interest, sincere feeling, and mean it and not just do it as something to do, it does create a deeper bond. And that's showing selfless. And a lot of people, let me say this last thing, and then we got to wrap it. And you make your final remarks, but a lot of people think that when we say, well, marriage you can't be selfish and be a selfish person and be in a marriage. We're not talking about with just a lot of people. The one thing at the top of their mind when we say that is they think we're talking about money, stuff, tangible stuff, but it's so far beyond that. We're talking about love. We're talking about feelings. We're talking about actually the acts of doing things. And like I said, not just, I wasn't selfish because I bought her a car. Oh, I wasn't selfish because I gave her money. Or, I wasn't selfish because I bought myself a pair of shoes and I bought her stuff. No, it's about thinking about me before you. You think about me before you even make a decision. When you're contemplating a decision, you think about me before you even. Now, some of that was some extra now.
Go ahead, finish your thought.
You literally put me before yourself. when you're thinking about life decisions and different things, you said it before, you're like, how is this going to affect my wife?
Yeah.
That's being selfless. That ain't got nothing to do with a piece of money or a vehicle, a piece of clothing, a shoe, or anything. But it's just the genuineness of thinking about and the well-being of your spouse even before yourself.
Yeah.
That's the most selfless thing that you could ever do. So don't think about if somebody says, well, you're selfish. Well, no, I'm not, because I do this and I pay the bills. And no. I want y'all to understand it. And that's so deep for me, because it truly is not about what you say to me. It's about how you move. That's what it is for me. And Johnny knows it. Like I tell him all the time, you can buy me, and I know you would give me anything that I ask for in the world at the drop of a dime if you could, but I want your heart. I want emotions. I want feelings. I want intimacy. I want connection. I want relationship. That above all. And when he gets selfish with any of that, then I be nice and I go to him and I say,
Lies.
I miss you. Okay, it's time to wrap it up.
She lying. All that positive and beautiful nuggets, and then you go lie.
That's right, because sometimes I'll be a little forceful. I'll be like, all right, I miss you.
Yeah, and when she says, I make decisions, always thinking about how it would affect her, that's not her being controlling. No. That's me and her being in a marriage.
Absolutely, in a relationship.
She does the exact same thing that I do.
Yeah.
So it's no controlling. I very much wear the pants in my home. I got big pants.
Man, in this episode, and come on here, let's go. Because you always got to turn to the sideways.
I got big pants.
Sideways. They ain't as big as they used to be. Because you lost weight.
You know what I mean. You know what I mean.
Johnny, this is a PG podcast.
I said you know what I mean. Ain't nobody else know.
They do. Could you in the... and that dangle Jameson always got a remark in the way of a physical.
He supports. He supports his big brother.
Always got to make these movements, y'all, behind the scenes. But anyway,
for all things Mobley, go to www.momentswiththemobleys.com. We are on all social media platforms
as Moments with the Mobleys,
except for Twitter or X or Xfinity, whatever it is.
X, formerly known as Twitter. We're Mobley Moments.
We're Mobley Moments.
We're even on Threads. Do me a favor, guys. Go to MWTM.E184 and purchase some of those seasonings.
Please.
She didn't ask. We are ambassadors for her. She didn't ask me to do this, but I'm doing it.
Y'all don't even understand what y'all missing.
MWTM, IMARIEATS.com. She has salt-free and salted blends, y'all. Some of our favorites are high stakes, sweet heat, and all that. And I just re-upped on all that, y'all. And I'm telling y'all, it's amazing. And so,
and I don't know what the salted tastes like,
because we don't get the salted.
We get the unsalted, but I promise you, I can't tell the difference. And
it's
the flavor,
really nice.
The flavor is rich.
Yeah, it really is.
It's rich.
We ain't just saying it just to say it. MWTM.com.
They're the truth.
Use Mobstar, MOBSTAR, to get 10% off your purchase. Go and do that and let us know how y'all like it.
Yeah, go ahead and order it. You might not get it before Labor Day, the grill, but
right, that's Monday. You ain't gonna have it, but
you can grill next weekend, the weekend after.
Right, when you get it. But
yeah,
go on that website and get you some now, and use our code. We appreciate y'all. We got to get out of here.
This has been Moments with the Mobleys. I am your man, Johnnie Mobley Jr.
And I'm his lovely wife, Deirdra.
And we'll always be something like him.
And forever.
So, we something like an ordinary couple.
With extraordinary purpose.
I ain't asked you to get in
and
none of that.
And we walking in it. We running in it.
I ain't asked you to get in none of that. You just mess up my whole... You just mess up my whole little thing I was trying to say.
Tell me you love me.
I mean, you all right.
Tell me you love me.
You all right.
Tell me you love me.
I love you.
Tell me you love me, sexy. Sexier.
I love you. Peace out, y'all. She's so silly.